Hey tubers, so I'm back on the Wagoneer. Super slow progress, lots of competing things for time, but I'm stealing a couple of minutes. So previously I had found this spot. It was rusted through. It's the only spot, actually there's the same spot on the other side. Must have been from tires kicking up dirt and scratching up the paint that was never addressed. Anyway, previously I had attempted to fiberglass this, and I did an okay job, but not great. But anyway, I bondoed over it and it was super smooth, and I was looking at pictures of other Wagoneers on Instagram, and I'll link those below. And I got jealous, quite honestly. They looked super nice, and one of them in particular showed the progress that he was making doing body work, real body work, like metal body work. And so he convinced me to do the same. So I'm going to try to patch these panels up with the steel that I have. So I'm going to try to document this process. It's my first time welding, well, thin metal like this. I did a couple of sections sample, just practiced. This is 0.7 millimeters. I think that's 26 gauge. So I'm either going to use this or something that's a little bit probably too thick. 20. Let's see, what is this? This is 16 gauge, is 1.8 millimeters, and I need to be around 1. So I'm not sure which way I'm going to go. Maybe thicker, might be easier and a little more forgiving. So anyway, that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to start by making a template. This is just a piece of cardboard stock from a manila folder, and here's what I think I'm going to do. I'm going to put it inside and then hold it or tape it, and or maybe a different way. So let me try to figure this out and I'll be right back. So what I'm going to try to do is kind of just scrape an outline into it. That's probably as accurate as I need to be, because ultimately there's going to be a lot of trial and error and fitting and grinding that's going to take place. Okay, so I'm gonna cut this out and trace it onto the steel. I don't know if you can tell, but that's the back side. So that's the side that I was marking from, and if you turn it backwards, you get a pretty nice sharp line, pretty easy to cut and trace from. Okay, let's see how it fits up. Obviously this is cardboard, so, but I cut it right on the sharp edge here, so when I cut the steel, I'm gonna have to give it a little bit of a gap, for sure. But generally like that. Now, there is a little bit of a curve, even though it's aren't that many curves on this vehicle, but that's here. There's roughly a straight line, and here, there's a little bit. It's more curved here than back here. So I'm going to cut that, and I think I'm going to use the thinner stuff, at least to start with, and then we'll see. So, if I cut on the inside of that line, that should be perfect, and then I'll grind and fit. So, I've got about a millimeter to take off pretty much everywhere, which is fine. So I'll grind that down and fit it, and then kind of contour this. We'll have to see what it looks like when it's in the hole. So I'll do that and be back. So after a bit of grinding, I think I got it. I think I'll be able to fill that in. And so from a profile perspective, I think all I'm going to need to do is bend that in a little bit, you know, like that. But I'm going to bend it and then tack it and see from there. Alright, I think I'm ready. I think I'm going to start here and kind of work a little bit of this bottom line, tack some of these things in place, and if I need to form it, I think I can form it a little bit easier at the top. So I'm going to leave that for last. Here are my settings. Basically I'm just going to go slow. So I also have my air hose ready. In case things get a little warm, I can always try to cool it off a little with a little air. So let's see if you can see, and let's see how this works. Hopefully it does. At all. Plan B. Yeah, I guess I didn't get a very good grip with these magnets, so let's try again. If not, then I might have to hold them, which I'm not planning to do that. missed that third one. So I'm gonna see if I can lay in a couple more. Maybe up here. Oh, I did not get a good angle on that one. I don't have a very good way to pull. I might have to get a little pick and pull a little bit from this side. So let me get that and see how it goes. What I'm trying to do is maintain somewhat of a flush here. That'll work. So I'm gonna keep going around and I'll catch you when I get almost done. It's getting there. Building up a little bit too much heat, so I'm gonna leave it cooling for a little bit and move to the other side, and I'll show you what that's gonna look like. Not as pretty. So on this side, the hole is bigger, but under the feature line, and it basically starts around here somewhere. So I'm going to try to find it and push it out with a couple of motivational tools. So let's see how I do. Yeah, so that's going to get messy, but I'll work on this while the other side cools off. Well, okay, after welding and grinding and welding and grinding, I filled everything up, but I think I screwed it up. And here's what I think I did. Well, here's what I know I did. I'm not sure if it's fixable or not. So the shape, this triangular shape that I started with, I think was a mistake, because as I was going up, and in particular here, a lot of heat ended up getting built up, and I wasn't as patient as I needed to be. And so this thing warped considerably. Some of this was bent, I think, from the fiberglassing, but a lot of it, I believe, that's like 1/8 of an inch or so, is from the heat. Yeah, about 1/8 of an inch. So, and I'm going to try to fix it and not make it worse. I'm going to try maybe to pull it. I have access from the back side, which down there. So I have access to all of that. You can see it. So I may be able to push it and pull it, but I'm a little bit pissed off. So on the other side, I'm going to try it a little differently. The hole is a different shape from where the rust was. And I'm going to try this. This line up here worries me a little bit, but I can't get into this feature line. So I'm going to try to be more patient on this one, and just try to take it easy. The welding and grinding on this side, you know, I know that I wasn't patient enough. So I will try. I don't have a stud gun and a stud puller, but I'll try to weld a nail on there and pull it and see what happens. So here we go. Let's see how this works. Yeah, I might need to move that nail or get a couple of other ones in there on this line. I'm going to need 2 hands. I'll be right back. Oh, that sucked. I guess when I ground a little bit too much. Okay. Better. I know it's hard to tell on camera, and this is not a great way to measure it, but as a reference, it's better. But dumb. But better. So let me, let's see, where am I going to weld it next? Hold on. Okay, well, it's done, and a number of hard lessons learned. Number one is I probably should have used the thicker steel. I ended up using 22 gauge, and I should have gone with this. This is 16, might be a little bit heavy, but it would have helped me a couple different ways. Number one, the initial welding wasn't a bad process at all. However, a couple things I learned. Number one, the temperature management was key. I ended up fighting this warp here, and it's still quite bent, and I'm going to try to shrink it down, but I think the other big lesson is knowing when to leave good enough alone. So I'll try a little bit differently on the other side. I'm going to use thicker steel. But honestly, it took me just as long to fix the errors that I did here than it did the initial weld. I ended up blowing through and chasing holes for a long time. I put a light behind and just to check, and it's all sealed up, even that, and I'm just deathly afraid to fill that more with weld because I think I'm going to blow through again. So I'm not touching it anymore, and it'll get epoxy primered, and then bondo over it. So that's it for this side. Plenty of lessons. Let's see if I can do better on the next side on the next video.